You think emptying your mind brings peace. That's the lie they sold you while they stayed sharp, stayed hunting. Calm men don't survive. They get consumed by those who never stop thinking. They taught Marco to empty his mind. What they actually did was disarm him. The old man's lesson wasn't about peace. It was about narrowing his perception until he couldn't see threat, couldn't anticipate, couldn't strategize. He walked through a village blind to everything except a glass of water. They called it presence. It's actually absence. This is the sedation doctrine. Convince restless men that their mental storm is the problem, not their lack of direction. Tell them to live in the moment while others live 3 moves ahead. Marco's restlessness was raw processing power, chaotic, yes, but alive. His thoughts about past and future were pattern recognition attempting to form. Instead of sharpening that blade, they taught him to drop it. The result? A peaceful man. Peaceful men don't take territory. They don't see betrayal coming. They don't build empires. They become the background characters in someone else's strategy. Marco found peace. He lost sovereignty. When you empty your mind, you're not achieving clarity. You're shutting down survival systems that took millennia to develop. Your brain's default mode network exists to simulate scenarios, predict threats, and plan responses. The anxiety Marco felt wasn't malfunction. It was his threat detection system working exactly as designed in an uncertain environment. The glass exercise did something specific. It hijacked his executive function and pinned it to a single, meaningless task. Yes, he achieved focus. But focus without strategic context is just expensive distraction. A sniper has focus. So does a man staring at a wall. The difference is lethality of purpose. Neuroscience confirms this. Suppressing your planning systems doesn't create peace. It creates vulnerability. The men who dominate aren't empty-minded. They're ruthlessly selective about what enters and what gets processed. They don't experience less thought. They experience better filtering. Marco didn't learn to filter. He learned to shut down. That's not evolution. That's domestication. Every man falls into one of 3 categories. The storm, chaotic mental activity, high reactivity, no filter. Exhausting but dangerous. He sees everything, trusts nothing. Most young men start here. It's raw and undisciplined, but it's alive. The vessel, Marco's final form. Calm, present, focused on the immediate task. He'll execute instructions perfectly and feel spiritual about it. He won't see the larger game. He won't anticipate. He's been optimized for compliance, not conquest. The predator, calm exterior, violent interior. He appears present, but his mind runs kill scenarios constantly. He's filtering, not emptying. He sees the children playing and calculates how that affects his path. He hears the dogs and knows what they're responding to. He carries the water without spilling it while simultaneously mapping every exit and threat. Most spiritual teachings try to move you from storm to vessel. They never mention the third option. That's intentional. This isn't new. Every power structure in history has used spiritual sedation to manage dangerous men. Roman emperors gave conquered populations bread and religion, keep them fed and peaceful. Colonial powers didn't just take land. They introduced doctrines of acceptance, surrender, and present moment living to populations who might otherwise resist. Modern corporations perfected it. Mindfulness programs in the workplace don't exist to help you. They exist to make you tolerate conditions you should be strategizing to escape. Be present with your tasks. Translation: stop thinking about whether these tasks serve you. The most dangerous men in history, Augustus, Talleyrand, Bismarck, appeared calm. But read their letters, their private writings. Their minds were constant warfare simulations. They weren't empty. They were ruthlessly full of strategic models, contingency plans, and threat assessments. Their peace was a byproduct of preparedness, not practice. Marco's old man was once a psychologist in the city. He didn't retire to find peace. He withdrew after losing. Winners don't teach surrender. Here's the actual skill: not emptying your mind, but arming it with hierarchy. Your thoughts aren't the enemy. Their disorder is. The solution isn't suppression. It's triage. Threat hierarchy thinking works like this. Every input gets categorized instantly. Survival-relevant information gets processed immediately. Strategic information gets stored. Social noise gets discarded without engagement. You're not ignoring the barking dogs. You're assessing whether they signal danger in 0.3 seconds and moving on. This is armed presence. Appearing calm because you've already run scenarios, not because you've stopped running them. Your body language reads as peaceful. Your nervous system is fully operational. When Marco walked with that glass, he should have simultaneously tracked his environment, not out of paranoia, but out of sovereignty. Practice this. In any environment, identify the 3 nearest exits, the 2 most dangerous people, and 1 resource you could leverage. Do this while appearing completely relaxed. That's predator consciousness. That's what they don't teach you. Everything you believed about mental peace just died. If you're feeling resistance right now, good. That's the old identity fighting for survival. It wants you to return to comfortable lies about presence and stillness. It wants you to be Marco, smiling and domesticated. But you've seen the mechanism now. You understand that peace of mind has been weaponized into passivity. The peaceful man is not enlightened. He's unarmed in a selection environment. Nature doesn't reward inner peace. It rewards adaptive dominance. Your new identity isn't the man who seeks calm. It's the man whose preparation creates his calm. You're not trying to quiet your mind. You're building systems so sophisticated that threats get neutralized before they elevate to conscious worry. That's actual peace. The absence of threat, not the absence of thought. Marco found his peace by narrowing his world to a glass of water. You'll find yours by expanding your capacity to process everything while appearing to process nothing. One path leads to spiritual satisfaction. The other leads to territorial control. You now have information most men will never access. They'll keep seeking peace through surrender, wondering why calm never translates to power. You understand the distinction, sedation versus sovereignty. The world is a selection environment. Peaceful men get selected out by employers who exploit them, women who lose respect for them, and competitors who simply take what they want while the peaceful man breathes deeply and accepts it. This isn't pessimism. It's observation. Your choice is binary. Continue the spiritual path that makes you harmless, or build the mental sovereignty that makes you dangerous. Dangerous men sleep better than peaceful men, not because they've emptied their minds, because they've prepared so thoroughly that threats have been pre-solved. The glass of water was never about presence. It was a test. Would you sacrifice environmental awareness for a stranger's approval? Marco passed their test. He failed the real one. You won't make the same mistake. Everything you needed was already in that storm they told you to quiet. Now go sharpen it into something surgical.